Penguin Random House Audio presents The Girl in the Eagle's Talons, a Lisbeth Salander novel by Karin Smirnoff, translated from the Swedish by Sarah Death. Read for you by Simon Vance. Now do I see the earth anew rise all green from the waves again. The cataracts fall, and the eagle flies, and fish he catches beneath the cliffs. The Wise Woman's Prophecy, the Edda, translated by Henry Adams Bellows. 1. The cleaner keeps an eye on his watch. From the moment he baits the feeding tray with hunks of meat, it takes 41 seconds for the first eagle, a female, to land. He can never tell exactly where it has come from. It could have been perched in a nearby tree, or sailing a couple of thousand feet above. With eyesight like that, 200 times sharper than a human's, it can zoom in on prey from several miles away. He is sitting 50 yards from the bait, well concealed in his hiding place, following the meal through his binoculars. 14 across. Raptor treats, 10 letters. Eagle candy. The tenderness he feels for the birds is not fatherly love. For what does he know of that? And yet he cannot help thinking of them as his children. He thinks about them before he goes to sleep, the moment he wakes up, as he goes about all the essential chores like chopping wood, preparing their meals, or lighting the fire. He thinks about them. Have they mated? Have the young survived? Can they find enough to eat? Will they make it through the winter? Yes, with his help, and a decent year for voles, they will pull through. He rubs his knuckles over his eyes. The sun has risen higher now and is warming his back, maybe for the last time this autumn. It doesn't matter. This house is in a corner of the world forgotten by humankind. Although house is a bit of an exaggeration. A log hut that has stood empty since the last foresters left in the early 1960s, and the area was designated a national park. This is rugged country, with its irregular structure of ancient forest, meres, bogs, and mountains. There is no proper road leading to it either. Apart from animal paths, the only visible markers are the faint traces of an old forest track that nature is busily reclaiming. The only way to get there is on foot or by quad bike, and you have to know the route. It's a good 5 miles from the nearest public road, and he limits his movements to a radius of a couple of miles around the hut. When he first came here, he marked directions with branches, so he wouldn't get lost. This local territory provides him with a stream to fish in, fallen trees for his woodpile, and convenient clearings where he can look out for birds and smaller game. The hut is his sanctuary, minimally modernized with a diesel-powered generator that he uses for charging his phone. Here he is no one, a man with no name, background, or future. He simply is, lives each day as it comes, gets to sleep early, wakes at dawn, does what he has to, without dwelling on whether it is good or bad. There are dates carved into the log walls, and names, messages to the future from other solitary men. Olof Persson, 1881. Lars Persson, 1890. Sven Erik Eskola, 1910. And so on. But what is solitude if not relative? Months can pass without him talking to anyone but himself, birds, trees, and even rocks. Yet he feels less alone than ever. It is as if his childhood has caught up with him. Day by day he is getting closer to the boy who took refuge in the forest, the boy who learned how the world was constructed by sitting stock still and watching the mating dance of black grouse in the spring, following the progress of the vixen as she cared for her growing offspring, of the wood ants taking their shift in the heap, or the bark beetle burrowing its way through the spruce. The boy has a father, a strapping devil with arms that reach everywhere. The boy has a mother, Nobody takes her into account. The boy has a brother. "Run," he says, when their father gets home, and the boy makes off into the forest. He catches a slow worm. When it sheds its tail, he catches it again, pulls his knife from its sheath, severs the head from the body, and everything falls silent. He is the silence. The boy places the slow worm on a rock, leans against the trunk of a spruce and wipes the knife blade on his trousers, scrapes it against a fingernail. Along its sharp edge, there is freedom. Nobody can take that from him. Another eagle is coming in. This one is a young male. He hasn't yet got the white belly feathers of sexual maturity or the yellow beak. Presumably born last year. 2 years old, max, he writes in his notebook. It is unusual, but it happens from time to time, he adds, that young eagles stay where they were born, instead of moving south. Possible defect or sickness? Question mark. Keep an eye out! Exclamation mark. The female is so engrossed that she doesn't bother to look up when the young male, which has first circled the meat, dares to come in to land. There are mostly just bits of bone left now. She lets him get on with it. They tug and tear until the sinews come free and slip down their throats like spaghetti. Within a few minutes, the day's climax is over. He tucks his notebook and flask in his backpack, pulls the strap of the rifle over his shoulder, and crawls out of his hiding place. His right leg lags behind, as usual. He has to turn it manually in the direction of home. His route takes him along an animal path. Birch, alder, and willow have already lost their leaves. He grabs a handful of lingonberries and pulls a bitter-sweet face. Bitter-sweet also describes the smell of the lumps of meat left in the lidded plastic drum. Well camouflaged under a spruce, but still. He should throw it all onto the feeding tray at the same time, but he just can't. His time with the eagles means everything. It is for them that he breathes, eats, sleeps, shits. Tomorrow he will come here again. And then his phone rings. There is only one person who has this number. There is only one person he rings.
"Yes," he says. "Right. Tomorrow morning. Okay."
It is a colder morning than usual. He adds a couple of extra logs and warms his hands around a coffee cup. If he wants to get out to the road on time, he will have to set off soon. Things could happen on the way. The quad bike could break down. The ground could be waterlogged. He walks the first few miles to the place where he keeps the quad bike hidden, purely as a precaution. If anyone were to find it, unlikely though that is, it would be impossible to link it to the hut or to him. As he walks, he keeps a lookout for sea eagles. One of the nests is over this way, but there are no birds to be seen. Pity. It would have given him a good feeling. Something to live on. Not that he is dreading it, but still. A sea eagle is a sign. A good one. Once he gets there, he brushes the spruce twigs off the machine, puts his backpack in the carrier in front, and sets off for the meeting place. The ground is dry enough. Everything goes to plan. He gets there with 10 minutes to spare and stays well hidden from the road before driving up to the barrier and turning the quad bike around for the return trip. The car is already parked there. It's always the same person who makes the delivery. The cleaner knows him as the delivery man. The delivery man knows him as the cleaner. They don't know each other, exchange only a few words.
"Who do you take orders from?"
he asks. The answer reassures him. The shorter the chain of command, the fewer the links. This time he's asked for some things he needs, a bottle of whiskey and a few items of fresh food, and the newspapers, as usual. He jams them down into the carrier and goes back to the car. The delivery man pulls his delivery out of the back seat. A woman, which is unusual. Her hands are tied behind her back, and there's a hood over her head. Inarticulate sounds indicate her mouth is taped. At least he won't have her idle chatter to contend with.
"Do whatever you want with her," says the delivery man. "You have a free hand."
Whatever he wants, as long as he does his job.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?